whether we think of recent wars, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, wherever, in past wars, in Vietnam, Korea, everywhere music played an important role in encouraging war and conflict, not only to encourage the soldiers, but to kind of catch people. For instance, a band would play, not a band, would be very often recordings, would play music that people liked so that people will come out into the streets to listen better to the music. And then they got shot at. And sometimes an American soldier says how in Iraq, if they played music that they knew the Iraqis liked, but nobody came out into the streets, that meant that they were preparing to fight. So then they would stop the music and get ready themselves to fight, because they knew that was coming. Music was used to attract entire populations to start fighting. Music is used to depress populations. For instance, when they want to have the population worried, they play music that is very, very, very sad, the dirges. They play sometimes not music, but record cries of children crying and crying and crying and crying. And this is something that we spoke today here. We heard a lot about music therapy. In my own experience, and I was very much involved in this, when I first came to the country, I knew Dr. Henry Rollin, and with him I did a lot of music therapy at the then very famous, now extinct Horton Hospital in Epsom. And he and Lady Forsyth started really music therapy in this country. And I remembered when I was there, I remembered what happened as a childhood to me in South America, that when I saw these people really traumatized by war, not traumatized by things that happened to them directly, but by what they saw. Like my father, who, until he died, had nightmares all the time about what he saw 40, 50 years earlier. Well, but I saw a lot of people who loved music and who listened to a lot of music and who were very happy listening to music, but the effects of war never disappeared. And probably I think that among the arts, the painting, the visual arts, are probably more effective. And there is, in fact, a lot of this going on in the whole world. And because for music, in many of the war-torn countries, there are no instruments. And also people have to study a little bit to do music. But art is far more natural and easy for children or people who are traumatized by war. And I think that I have so many, I don't want to start now because I have so many examples songs that were used by politicians and in the past by kings or by religious leaders also. Churches have used it, because you have to remember that many, many years ago, politicians didn't exist. The churches around the world, most of the very old wars were all fought between them. So music was also used by them, and lyrics were used by them to promote conflict. So my main theme is that we have to naturally continue to do music, but we have to work to abolish wars. And abolish wars can only be done by the abolishment of the arms trade. That means by abolishment of armies, armed forces everywhere. There is no way in the 20th century America could attack Iraq without warships and air fighters and drones and etc. They are not going to be swimming to Iraq and to destroy the country or Afghanistan or wherever. And the same with us. We have so many military bases in the world just doing that. They say to the population that this is all necessary to develop democracy in the world, but this is a lie. Democracy doesn't really exist. And the more we accept what politicians sell to us, I'm sorry for politicians here today, but the more we accept it, the more we are really conspirators with them in the state of affairs. Imagine that the United States, well, only also England, we have 72 universities who receive a lot of money for military research, and 24 of them do peace studies and do give diplomas for peace studies to like in America. MIT has this famous man, Noam Chomsky, and Noam Chomsky gives the impression that MIT must be a lovely university promoting peace. But MIT has the biggest contract in America with the American Armed Forces, with CIA, with FBI, and they are working on wars in 10 years to come, in 20 years to come, developing special materials that are not yet ready. Nobody, not one single man in the White House, of those in power, is thinking of peace. So we really have to work to end this, because otherwise the world will never change. And that is my campaign, is to use music to promote peace, but at the same time against arms. So that is all I want to say. Thank you.